My name is Bill Fowles, and I'm with a company called ABB. I've been there about a year, and most recently I came over from IBM, where I spent 3.5 years in a very similar role in really our branding and how we were using the internet for our sourcing. So just real quickly, I know the room is still kind of getting back from our break and everything. If I could get a little participation, a raise of hands. How many in the room has heard of IBM? Yeah, just about everyone, right? One of the most well-branded names in the world, certainly global, great company. But prior to you hearing me being introduced today, thank you, how many of you, a show of hands, had actually heard of ABB? Yeah, and that's about right, a very small percentage, very small percentage. And there's some reasons behind that. But one of the things that I wanted to do to start off the presentation was to really introduce all of you and everyone on the webcast to who or what ABB is. So here we have a pretty powerful mission statement that we have. We're one of the world's leading engineering companies. We help our customers to use electrical power efficiently, to increase industrial productivity, and to lower environmental impact in a sustainable way. We also have a great branding message of power and productivity for a better world. I mean, some pretty powerful mission statements, some pretty cool branding statements. But if I can steal a line from a Mel Brooks movie, what is it that you do? Still not quite sure. I know it was very difficult for me when I came into the company to really grasp what is ABB. I mean, we're involved in electricity and power and automation. There was a lot of things to it. In fact, if you go and talk to an electrical engineer, you'll get 5 different answers. And especially in North Carolina, where we do have some good old boys down there. I remember asking one of our engineers, I said, so how do you explain what ABB does? You know, he says, well, Bill, it's real easy. We're from the source to the socket. Okay? From the source to the socket. That's pretty good. But when I want to explain to a crowd like you, which is mainly HR folks, what does ABB do and who is ABB? I thought I would try and share in pictures. We're probably all visual. So let's start with this. Here we have a slide, the United States at nighttime. This is a NASA satellite. And actually, it's most of North America. And you can see we're all powered up, right? Industrial nation, all powered up at night. Let's look at the next slide. This is a NASA satellite photo from August 14th, 2003. If you look to the northeast portion of the United States, actually where we are today, you'll see a very large blackout. This was known as the Big Blackout or the Northeast Blackout of 2003. This affected some 10 million people in Canada, some 45 million people in 8 different states here in the US. Now, those of you that lived through it, I apologize. I wasn't trying to dredge up any bad memories. I also want to note, ABB had nothing to do with this. This actually, the fault behind this, they found out, was a faulty alarm system in Ohio. And that faulty alarm system cascaded down into this major blackout incident. And it was the second most widespread blackout in the history since we've had power. So when I shared this story with my son, Ethan, my 7-year-old, I said, so do you kind of understand what Daddy's company does now? And he says, yeah, ABB helps keep the lights on. ABB helps keep the lights on. So all the energy coming through this building, me being able to be on stage with everything powered up, we're behind the scenes. All the cabling, switching, things like that, that's ABB. We help keep the lights on. We help keep us safe when we turn the lights on. And we're using new and renewable energy to help make it even more efficient for us all and keep the environment clean. So let's talk about ABB and the numbers, okay? So ABB is a Swiss-based company, headquartered in Zurich. We have a rich history. We've actually been around over 100 years. We're a very well-known company in Central Europe. The current formation of our company actually took place in 1988, where we merged with a Swedish company. So we have a Swedish and Swiss heritage and based in Zurich, Switzerland. But our North American headquarters are in Cary, North Carolina. That's where I'm based. We have over 150,000 employees worldwide. We're present in over 100 plus countries. We did $42 billion in revenue last year. Yet just about everyone in here in the room didn't know about us. When I was presented for this position at ABB, they often told me in the interview phase, this is going to be a challenge for you. This is going to be a challenge. No one knows us in the US market. I didn't hear challenge. I heard opportunity. This was a great opportunity with a great company. So ABB is global. ABB is innovative. We've actually come up with a lot of firsts with technology. Our technology ranges from robotics to engines for cruise ships. But we're also one of the most respected engineering companies in the world. But yet, no one really knows us here in the US market. So, and there's several reasons. The first is the obvious that I already shared with everyone. We're based in Zurich. So in Central Europe, we are well known. We're actually one of the most sought after engineering firms in Central Europe. Here in the US market, the other thing is we don't sell any consumer products. You won't see an ABB refrigerator in your home or an ABB microwave. But the power to operate those appliances most likely is being touched by an ABB product. So we're behind the scenes. And lastly, we've never done any mass media campaigns. You know, you haven't seen an ABB Super Bowl commercial. Maybe someday. So there were some challenges, as I said, but again, myself and my team looked at it as an opportunity. I'll share a short story with you. When I first started with ABB, my mother's still in California. That's where I'm originally from. And like a good son, I call her every weekend. Hi, Mom. And she would say, oh, hi, Billy. She still calls me Billy. How are things going? Oh, good, good. And her next question would be, you know, so how do you like things over at ABBA? Mom, it's ABB. ABBA's a Swedish pop band from the 70s. I don't work for them. And she'd quickly say, oh, I just love Mamma Mia. And that Meryl Streep, she's just so good. I can't wait to see the play sometime. A little North Carolina saying we have, oh, bless her heart. She's getting there. Well, a few months later into the job, again, I'm head down, running, going as fast as I can. My son comes into my home office one Saturday afternoon. He says, Dad, I just got off the phone with Grandma. Poor, poor Grandma, bless her heart. She just can't seem to get the name of your company right. I said, yeah, I know, we're working. He says, I fixed it though. I said, really, how did you do that? He says, well, I told her it was real easy. You used to work for IBM, now you work for ABB. You just got to switch out 2 letters, and she got it. So thanks to my 7-year-old, I was able to take care of my internal branding issues. But as you can see, the name didn't really resonate here in the US. And we're not quite there yet. So when I came on board, I knew there was challenges, which I looked at opportunities. And I want to share with all of you really how we took that strategy, how we went to our executives to really explain this is what we wanted to do, and really how we utilized LinkedIn to maximize it and leverage it to its utmost potential. So the what, how, and why, like any good presentation we know, we really want to focus on the why. Why was the talent brand so important? Why was the talent brand index and all of that important for us? Well, I think I just laid it out for everyone. We need to really get our name out there in the US market, in North America. We needed to do it effectively and efficiently. And we had to come to our executives and really explain, we have to do this in order to stay competitive, in order for us to really gain that recruitment back. Okay, the employer brand is going to drive the recruitment, and that was a message that we really wanted to take with them. So the why was there. I mean, it was especially important for a company like ABB. Again, you saw the numbers. We're a big company, but we really didn't have that presence here in the US. So we really had to go to them with 3 key selling points. First, it was the data. And I know Wade earlier today shared some pretty impressive statistics, especially about the type of people that made the list, the locations, industries. One thing really resonated with me as I was sitting in the back room. Our company wasn't in any of those. Location, based in Cary, North Carolina, although we have manufacturing sites all over the US. We were not in New York City. We didn't have Chicago or San Francisco. We weren't in the tech industry. So all of those things, again, they do present hurdles for us, but we knew that the data was going to be the key driving force to go back to your executives and really illustrate the need for the talent brand. So it started with the data. Next, benchmark your peers. Certainly with ABB, our executives wanted to know, how are we doing against our competition? In our competition are companies like GE, Siemens. It was very important for us to be able to benchmark that and really show on a continuous basis, how are we doing out there in the market versus the other guys? And then lastly, employer brand matters. And I think everyone in this room, that's an easy sell. But your executives, sometimes they need a little more of a push. What is employer brand? Why does it matter to them? Well, the one thing that we really learned was that it's easy to talk about employer brand, but unless you can measure it and measure the effectiveness of it, they don't seem to get it. And it was the same with the data, right? Most executives demand the data. I mean, they're going to base a lot of their decisions and a lot of their judgments on the data. So the data was going to be the baseline of what we were going to do. But the employer brand matters, especially with all of us HR and talent acquisition leaders. We know that that's going to drive recruitment in the end. So those were our 3 keys to selling our executives. Now, we know, again, there's been a lot of great speakers here today. They talked about ROI. They've talked about the hires. We believe all of those are going to be part of it as well. But I wanted to focus on 3 areas that I thought your executives, if they were similar to ours, were really going to appreciate those 3 key points. So we had to go backwards and start the conversation on before I came on board and before we really looked at what we were going to do. And we looked at 2012. And again, your LinkedIn account reps, they can help provide you with these type of great analytics and really being able to look at the history and where you were and where you want to go. So let's look at 2012. Our career page followers. We were sitting somewhere between 70,000 and 80,000. Not horrible, but compared to our competition and some of our peers, we were falling behind in this area. So that was one of the first things that we looked at. In 2012, we looked at our unique page visitors. Here we were failing miserably. We were hitting about 3,500 to 4,000 unique page visitors a month. We knew that if we wanted to really make a splash with our talent brand and really get our employer brand out there in the US market, that was going to be an area that we really had to focus on. Next, the LinkedIn hiring impact. And this is actually one of my favorite slides because it gives you a view of not only how you're doing, how your peers doing, but who are the best companies doing it? What's the best in class? And here you can see our recruiters were doing okay compared to their peers. Our jobs were doing okay. Our career page was falling behind. And you'll see at the last chart there, we weren't using any other LinkedIn products at that time. We're basically involved with LinkedIn Recruiter, posting jobs. Our recruiters and our talent team was really just focusing on sourcing the database. Here you can see, again, benchmarking versus your peers. When I took this graph or this slide into our executives, they could see not only were we falling behind and lagging miserably to our peers, we're going to lose the war on talent. We're going to continue to have a severe gap there if we didn't address it. Again, the data builds the case. So we had to come up with a strategy. And this is where I encourage everyone to really reach out to your LinkedIn reps or account executives. This is what was a huge value for us. Now, I've been a member of LinkedIn for some time. I've been to several Talent Connects. I've had several different account reps with the companies I've been with. And I got to say, they're very knowledgeable. They're very accessible. But they also have just really cool analytics. So I like that. And that's what really helped build the strategy. So not every company's built the same way. Now, I mean, if you're in consumer packaging goods, you might be able to measure your success by sales, by media numbers, but we're this Swiss engineering firm. How are we going to be able to measure our success? And our success really depended more on marketing and advertising. And that's really the strategy that we started to hone in on. Now, I'm a big believer of video. We started to do some in-house video. We have a YouTube channel. Please go out there if you'd like to see any of our videos that we've already made. But we also knew that the advertising and the sheer numbers that LinkedIn has was going to be the sandbox that we had to play in. And that's where we started to tailor our strategy. We took from just a posting and praying mentality, from a recruiter just using the tool mentality, to how do we leverage this awesome, what do we say, 300 million profiles inside that database. How could we leverage that more to get ABB's name into the US market? And this is a strategy we came up with. Oh, who is that guy? We started with the Work With Us ads. I'm sure most of you are familiar with that. If you're not, please talk to your LinkedIn account rep. I got to say that this really is what catapulted us forward in utilizing these ads. We really shifted our budget to really focus more on the advertising and the marketing of LinkedIn. These ads started appearing in July of 2013, and I'm going to show you some statistics and numbers that came back after that. We then started running the recruitment ads. Our ads, and when they started the campaign, performed at 32 times the industry average. I mean, we actually had to do a double take on that slide when we were first presented that last summer. But that's the traffic that was coming back. In fact, you'll see our click-through rate, 2.58. Those of you who are familiar with click rates and things like that, industry average or industry that you're doing okay at is about 1. And we were hitting at 2.58. Again, we needed that sort of traffic. We needed that boost in our market. Lastly, the career page. This is where we had the biggest room for improvement for ABB. Now, most of you probably have a career page already. But what was lacking with ours is that ABB, we were all over the world, and we had career pages in each region. I mean, we had so many ABB career pages. When I first came on, my head was spinning, going, oh my gosh, look at all these career pages. We needed to centralize those into one. We needed to bring everyone back to one page with one voice and one consistent message. And we did that by pulling into one career page. And that brought all the traffic into one place. So the data. Well, before I share the data, obviously I have to share what is this image here. ABB is also into robotics. And this is our latest and greatest new dual-arm robot. We make this in Auburn Hills, Michigan. I was actually up there a few months ago. Pretty cool stuff. Little plug for robotics. Go to our YouTube site and check this out. Especially the millennials and the younger generation love the robotics. But it all came back with the data. So now we put the strategy in place. I came on board a year ago, and we really got everything moving forward late summer of last year. And here's, again, what they say, the proof is in the pudding, or in this case, the data. 300,000 plus followers by January of this year. If you'll recall, I showed our earlier numbers from 2012. We were sitting at about 70,000. More than tripled our followers using this strategy. And the numbers on the career page, if you're like me, I love getting those statistics like on a weekly basis, seeing that ticker go up and up. I mean, it's just exciting. And part of that is, a lot of that credit has to do with our recruiters engaging more on the site, but it's also, you know, as we heard about content, having that content to really engage the candidates and get them to come back to your site and get interested in ABB. Then measuring your success. This is a slide that I think really helped put a focus on what we were doing for our executives as well. Here on the left, you'll see the bar chart there is from 2012. And we were getting unique visitors to our employee profiles. And as most of you know, the employee profile or the profiles is one of the most active activities that's utilized on LinkedIn. We were getting somewhere in the range of about 70 to 80,000 views on a monthly basis. Put in the campaign with the advertising, the work with us. Look how the numbers jumped in July of 2013. We had about 145,000 unique visitors to our profiles in July of 2013. Basically doubled what we were doing the previous year. And almost 350,000 total views. Again, the data was now telling the story and also showing our success. So it's one thing to have traffic come back to you, but is it the right traffic? Now we could really demonstrate that we were actually reaching out to the right people. Here you'll see that we had about 16,000 of the right people come back. For us, the right people are engineering and sales. We could then take that to our executives and say, look, we're not only reaching people, we're reaching the right people. And then in the middle, you can see that our competitors were starting to look at us. We were seeing people coming back from our competition. And probably the most proud piece here for myself and my team, was visitors by country. You can see for us, that was the first time the United States, our region, surpassed Brazil. We've got a lot of activity going on in Brazil. We're powering up for the Olympics down there. Brazil's getting a lot of traffic, but we surpassed them in visitors last year. So again, exciting stuff for us, but the data told the story. Then we've been talking about Talent Brand Index today, and what does that mean? Well, let's look at what it means for, again, the right type of traffic. Here you can see that we're getting a 25% rate with our engineering and sales, two of our most sought after positions at ABB. So again, we were reaching not only a lot of people and we were getting engaged with a lot of people, but it was the right people for us. Next, all of your executives are going to want to know, how are we doing versus the other guys? What's going on with us versus the competition? You can see we got to 19% in our Talent Brand Index. That put us in a nice position right behind the big guys, and the big guys for us are going to be the GEs and Siemens, and now we've positioned ourselves right where we want to be for continued growth here in the U.S. market. And this was our favorite chart. So when I came on board, we were sitting at about 10% on TBI, Talent Brand Index. By implementing this strategy and moving forward with it, you can see we almost doubled our Talent Brand Index within 1 year. Not only was my team, but our executives were ecstatic to see this kind of growth in 1 year. We were reaching the right people, we were improving in our market, and now we were able to say that we were competing with our competitors the right way. So we've heard, again, about Talent Brand Index. And what does it mean to your company? Well, every company is going to mean a little bit different. I mean, if you're Google or IBM, right, you're going to have a huge engagement. You're going to have a huge share just by the size of your reach. But as all of you go back and you start talking about what does it mean to you, yeah, we may never make an in-demand list. That might not be ABB. But what's important for us is to look at this 19% from where we were a year ago and be able to say that our strategy is working, we're improving, but more importantly, it's now measurable. And that's what I love about the LinkedIn Talent Brand Index. As I said earlier, maybe you're a consumer packaging goods company. You have ways to measure your success. It could be through media or sales. But for most of us, it's very difficult to measure your success in your employer brand. The Talent Brand Index, to me, at least gives us some sort of visual of how we're doing in the market. And here you can see we have a great reach in our members, and we have a great engagement, and there's room to grow there. But the fact that we took it from 10% to 19%, we were able to tell that story with the executives. And again, they could now visualize. They had something to measure. They had the data, and now they could really see what our strategy was. So in wrapping up, really the three keys that we looked at in selling to our senior executives, the data. Everyone has executives that they cling to the data. They want the data. But in this case, the data is going to help sell our story. It's going to be the keystone of not only measuring your success, but also to continue your growth down the strategy that you've put in place. 2, benchmark yourself with your peers. Everyone's going to want to know, how are we doing against so-and-so? How are we doing in the market? Having that benchmark and that visual on that is going to be another key area that your executives are going to look at. And lastly, and I don't have to sell the audience on this one, employer brand matters. We all know that a strong employer brand will then drive recruitment. It's going to make our jobs easier. Have them come to us. But in order to do that, you have to have an effective strategy that your executives can see is performing and working. And then you can continue to develop your strategy. I just wanted to say thank you. You've been a great audience. I've really enjoyed coming up here. To everyone at LinkedIn, thank you. This has just been a wonderful experience. And I want to thank you for allowing me to share the ABB story with you and to share our strategy and how it's worked for us. So again, thank you very much. I appreciate your time. Thank you.